On the other side of the vehicle, if we continue my list of stuff to be done, this is kind of where I left off, was rebuilding this whole area in here, which is done. I'll be welding in a piece here to close that in, and then I'll dress up this B pillar, make that all nice again because it's all good. I got to get rid of this fender, but this I bought a half fender replacement, which means it ends under the that piece of chrome molding that comes here. You can see the black line. That's where that fender, the replacement, ends. So I'll be cutting this off along that line. But again, I've got to undo all these welds through here so that this panel can come off. And similarly, that area right in the trunk behind here, I think, is thin. So I'll be faffing around with that. And then I got to put that whole inner fender piece in that I've been working on. That was hellish just because of its shape. So that's it. That's it. It's kind of a big list. And then of course I got to put the whole rocker panel assembly in on this side. But having done the other side, I know what to deal with and where the pitfalls are. That, you know, I had the order right on the other side, so it's not like, because you got to do it right. Inner sill, inner flange, web, outer sill, but you got to get stuff right, you know, as you're going along, and you got to be cognizant of what panel am I going to drill my holes to do the plug welds, so that you have access to everything while you're doing that. So that'll be going on there. The very last thing I'm going to do is the floor panels themselves, because I want to be able to stand in these areas to get at stuff. You'll notice I cut that out after I had that beautiful patch put in. That's because I realized that the car, the chassis, or whatever you call this, the frame, unibody, had a slight twist in it from the front assembly, which goes up to this cross member. Imagine that the tunnel wasn't here, and imagine the sills weren't here. That cross member and then these main frame members here, that constitutes the front assembly, and then the rear assembly comes down to this piece. Right? That's how it's made in the factory, and then they jig it all together, and then they place the assemblies in to join the two halves together. So anyways, imagine the back half of the car is twisted, okay, like this, about enough to bother me. It's a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch off from that side. So what I'm gonna have to do is just literally reef it back into place. So I'm going to have to fix the front end in place, and I'll show you this when I get to it. I'll fix that rigidly, and then I'll come back to the back half. I'll probably loosen up this member, that's not helping things, and then literally jack this side up and just twist it back into place. And I might have to twist it beyond correct so that it will spring back to correct and get that much closer to alignment with the front end. And then after that, I'll be able to confidently weld in this sill assembly, which will help add rigidity to it and lock that twist that I put back into it. And then when I weld this chunk of the tunnel back in, that will also help to fix the configuration in place. So yeah, lots of shit to be done. But I'll take you through each step. It's not as, it is crazy to the common person, but we're just gonna hack through it. That's the way we do stuff here. So I've decided I'm not going any further with the rear quarter panel. I've got that fender fixed and it's all good metal now. I gotta do some grinding. So I thought what I'd do is, and the reason I'm leaving the quarter panel off is so that when all the welding is done and the other rocker panels in, I can sandblast all this area in here and get all these nooks and crannies to coat it and do all those things before I put the quarter panels on. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I've set up a level and a laser level for secondary check. And what I'm going to do is take that twist out of the body that I told you about earlier. Maybe you can see it there. Anyways, take that twist out. I'm going to actually overcorrect it a couple of degrees this way so that it'll spring back is my intention. Most things work that way in the metal world. So what I'm going to do, and that's something I want to point out. I have no fancy tools. I'm not a metal guy, but some of this stuff just makes sense, and you got to make do with what you got to do. So for all these funky shapes in the sheet metal, I'm just banging on a piece of wood with a hammer. I don't make any crazy molds or dollies or whatever you want to call them. So what we're going to do here is what I've got to do is hold the front end down, and I'm going to literally do that with the front bucket of my tractor because I don't want to drill into the concrete and put straps and all that nonsense. And then I'm literally just going to jack the side up to put that twist in the body. Then I'll do the work on the rocker panel. I'll finish putting in this rocker panel assembly, and that should hold the twist. I can't see why that wouldn't. I'll also put that piece back in. So between fastening that down to this front beam and putting in this rocker assembly, that should freeze the twist out of the body. So I know you thought I was kidding, but there is a tractor putting down pressure on the front. I've got a laser level up here checking corner points here. And then on the back, I have a level. So there's my high-tech system for seeing what's going on. So right now I've got a jack down there that's pushing up on that side of the frame. And the only thing resisting twist is this rocker assembly. And because I cut a slit here, this much metal of the tunnel. That's the only thing that's keeping this thing from buckling in half or twisting.
Goodbye, viewers. Please come visit us again soon.